I already did. It's just not here yet.
Oh, it probably is recording. There we go.
Yep.
Welcome to Take Action Training. I'm Jess.
And I'm Julie. Together.
We are socially inclined and
Yeah.
a little awkward.
A lot awkward. If you saw our holiday Christmas promos, you'll know we're a lot awkward. And that's sort of a little bit of the off topic of today's is goal setting. It's the perfect time for goal setting. We're coming in. If you catch this on replay, just so you'll know, this is the week between Christmas and New Year's of live recording. And it is a hard time for entrepreneurs because you've pushed all year long, right? And you feel like you want a break, whatever. So everybody's kind of dragging. But man, the awe of like what is to come in 2022 and like the planning, that's my jam. So I love all of those this time for that. So unfortunately, I have a ton of work to get done this week. So we will be planning some. I'm gonna nail Jessica down, and we're gonna do the things that we're gonna teach you today. So
unavailable.
Wrong. I need 30 minutes. Tell her she is off this week. So
I'm not off this week. I was off last week. I'm here, aren't I?
I know she was here yesterday because she prepared this beautiful TAT for you today.
Yeah. So if you can do nothing else during this week, which let's face it, doesn't feel like you can do much during this week, set some goals. And whether you're watching it in March or September, it's always a good time to set a goal, even a baby goal. We're going to talk about those and go for it.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to make things happen.
Yep. So we've done in TAT, we did a productivity training, and we touched on sort of 90-day goals, whatever, because we were doing that at the time. So if you're watching this on replay and it is not the first of the year, take this same thing and bust it down, as Jessica would say, into a 90-day instead of trying to do the whole year. This is kind of a big, lofty year goal just because of the time that it is. And it's great to set the big steps of the 90 days. So I'm excited.
Yep. And we crafted this one to be like, so we did, like she said, the planning and productivity, and then we did project management. So this would go ahead of planning and productivity because we're going to talk about goals, why they're important, because a lot of you may not be convinced as to why they're important. But then more importantly, how to reframe a goal to where you can actually reach it. Because being able to actually reach a goal is what takes it from being a dream to something tangible.
Exactly. And so many people struggle with the types of goals that they set. It's really not that it's not attainable. It's just the way they structure it, and then they fall short, and it just makes it, you've got to get, is Deanne here? You've got to get the win. You've got to get the win. The win to continue. So
anything's possible if you have enough grit, grind, and grace.
2022 magic.
Spoiler alert. All right. So if you're here and you're just like, okay, I came because I wanted to hang out with Julie and Jess because they're so awesome. But goal setting, this is probably the least important of all 49 TATs that they've done so far. Then I'm calling you out, and I'm going to say that this is probably the very most important one for you.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. So you have to know where you are and where you want to go to actually get there. It's like, this is going to be your roadmap. So super excited.
Yeah. So they're the first step that you have to kind of make before you can kind of take any action. Because goal-oriented action, has anyone heard that before? I feel like I've heard that a million times, but a lot of times I kind of take for granted how much personal and professional development I've done. But action just being taken, it doesn't necessarily, yes, action is great, but unless it's a goal oriented action, it's probably not the most, probably doesn't have the highest ROI for you if it's not tied to that next goal that you're trying to achieve. So
Exactly. So we set out to do this very thing last year with our Take Action series. Obviously, what drives your business forward is the action, but there is so much busy work that we can get trapped in, that's not productive, that may not even have to be done. So when you set a goal and you set the tasks that are within that goal, then you're making progress.
exactly. So we have 4 reasons why goals are so important. In case you're one of those people who you're not quite sold on why we're even doing a training on goal setting. And the
Yep.
first one is
Focus. So what you focus on grows, what you give effort to, what you manifestation, whatever your thing is, whatever you focus on is what will be. All right. So, man, as an entrepreneur, we say this all the time. There's all the things that you can be doing. So having the perfect focus on really where you want to go is what's going to drive and make the magic happen in your business.
right. Because if you're not focused, then you're just kind of willy-nilly. And that is not, again, that goes back to the first statement that I made whenever I started talking about the goals is if you're just taking action, but it doesn't have a purpose, then it's a unfocused action and it's not taking you to the place that you want to be next.
Exactly. So first, focus. Second, they move you forward in your business. So obviously you've seen us, you saw us. A lot of you have been with us since the beginning of the year when we first started this training. So I love that this is the last training because it's really the culmination of the first training. This is the first thing. And we have executed and they have moved our business forward. So I love that.
Yeah. This one's big for me. So they fuel self-belief. Why is that a thing? Well, because if you don't believe in yourself, there's a good chance as an entrepreneur that other people don't either. That I know that might be a little painful, but we all know that our family is probably some of the hardest to convince. They all love to hear that you got a job, but when you say, "Oh, I started my own business," they take that little hesitant, or maybe even downright trying to talk you out of it approach. But having goals and setting them in the way that we're going to talk about here in just a bit is how you kind of fuel that self-belief and you keep that momentum, because you're going to set them in such a way where you can see success. And when you can see success, even if they're little successes, you can keep taking action. And we all know as you take action, you can build momentum, and that creates this beautiful symbiotic cycle of motivation, action, momentum that just leads you to wherever it is that you're wanting to go.
Exactly. And we need to share the PDF. You're welcome. Thank you, Nan. All right. And then the last of the 4 are they help you get more out of life. So again, I'm going to reference the fact that we have all the things that are going on. How do you ever decide what's important? How, and what you plan gets done. So in this, we're not just talking about in business, we're talking about the balance of life. If you are an entrepreneur, you are struggling with work-life balance. I guarantee it. So by planning and setting goals that actually will move your business forward, and setting the goals that will help your life as well. So they help you get more things going and feel more accomplished.
And it's not necessarily like you have to have every minute planned out of every day, because that just seems like a prison to me. But it gives you it gives you a place to focus your efforts. So we talked a lot about productivity and planning. I strongly encourage you to go back and watch that one after you finish this one. But how to take the right action and how to not work your butt off and still get a ton done. Because I am on team, you don't have to work super hard. You just have to work super smart and productively.
And I was just about to say that I really haven't praised, referenced, whatever, that in the productivity one that we did. I mean, Jessica is the master. I am continually in awe, I'm telling you, of the compartmentalizing, setting the goal, having the actions to meet the goal, and it getting done on time. So, and being able to do that.
You have to learn to tune out the nonsense, Julie.
Right, exactly. And the nonsense can be anything from outside forces, like things going on, in your environment, to the noise in your head that is saying, oh, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. Okay, we might need to do this, but the most important thing that we need to do right now is the thing that we set that as the goal, and the task that was the most important thing. And just staying on track, Jessica's so good at. So
it all has to do with prioritizing, and the goal setting is how you prioritize. So
yeah, and it's no secret, I mean, you can look at us and you can see, well, they do a lot, and we do. And I actually would like to do less better. Does that make sense? So, having the goal for 2022, we can, I could think of 100 things that we could bring to you that would be beneficial. So paring it down and having the goal, these are the things we're going to do, will keep us from being all over the place. And you too.
Perfect. Love it. Perfect segue. So yeah, that's a perfect segue to, all right, so that's great. Fun little fluff frou-frou is over. How do you do this? Like, how do you set a goal that you can actually stick to? And it basically comes down to being realistic and backing off of that pie in the sky pipe dream, like a pipe dream and a vision and long-term goals, like where you want to be in 10 years, flying around in a G6, making $100,000 a day. Yeah. Okay. That's great. But those things are not what do I do right now in the next 20 minutes to get me closer to that big dream.
Exactly. And everyone's on a different chapter in their business. We talk about this a lot too. So we may be on chapter 20 and you may be on chapter 2. Your goals and priorities are going to be different. Your goals and priorities are built on what's going to get you to the next step in your journey. Okay. So yes, in 10 years, I want to be here, but we're focused on the next little bit. So there's 4 steps that will take a goal from an idea to a reality. So
exactly. And I think so this first one is kind of key, obviously, because it's the first, but knowing your end result. And let me just clarify, the end result in that previous example is not flying around on a G6 making 100 G's a day. That is not an end result. That's a pipe dream, which I believe pipe dreams can come true. So some people, I just realized some people may use pipe dream as something that's never going to be a reality, but that's like the big dream. If that is not,
if everything comes together, if all of the things are met, it can happen. So it's not necessarily a pipe dream, but
yeah. So your end result in that particular situation may be to launch $1 million course, or let's just say launch a 6-figure course. Let's start there, because that would probably be it. It's got to be something that's large, your long-term goal, so that you can appropriately do number 2, which we're going to break into each of these 4 coming up. So If I
Exactly.
didn't give you any detail, don't worry.
Right. So the next thing is to, once you've got your end result, you're going to bust it into, and this is Jessica speak, bust it into mini goals. So I know everyone loved the bust it from the productivity training. So, and again, there's a little bit of overlap in here because it's so important. So this is how you're going to reach what you do. So, you've got a 6-figure course. Okay. What has to happen for that to be attained? What are the things? So we wanted to show up more. We wanted to bring TAT, Take Action Trainings to you every week this year, or for 50 of them this year. What did we have to do to make that happen? And it was a lot. We had to bust that up into a lot of mini goals.
Right. Like, let's just stick to it every week.
Right. And that's a big one.
Yeah.
You have to commit to. So we committed to 50 of them. That means that we have to show up. We got 2 off weeks for the whole year. Okay. Most people would have said, okay, let's do 20 or 25. Nope. So, and the byproduct of us showing up has been amazing. Awesome. Yeah. For the other part of our business. So you will reap rewards that you see in other areas by sticking to your mini goals.
Exactly. And I just kind of was looking at this and I thought of a timeline so that it kind of makes a little more sense if you put it into this perspective. But think about it kind of like your end result will take you a year. That's how big that should be. It should be something that kind of overwhelms you if you sit down and just think about it in exclusion. And then those mini goals should be weekly and monthly. And those are mini goals that you can achieve in a week or a month, right? So, and then the action steps will what you'll be doing daily or weekly. And then, which we're going to talk about those. And then making the changes you need, that's more of on an hourly or daily, like how you're managing your time. And I didn't really plan it out that way, but it's kind of brilliant to think about it like that in terms of how you break it down to where it's smaller actions that you're going to take. So number 3, once you have your mini goals, which should still be relatively large. Am I getting feedback? Sounds like I'm getting feedback. Is the audio okay? Okay.
You're okay.
Yeah. So the mini goals should still be, weekly, monthly attainable. But what action steps are you taking on a daily or weekly basis to reach those?
Yep. And then the 4th is make the changes along the way. If you see you are going to be falling short, then you need to adjust. You may need to do more to attain. And I actually want to use, Riley left a comment here, and it says, schedule 35 books between 3 pen names in 2022. I'm not sure if that's a goal or a pipe dream that's going to kill me. All right. So let's say that you want to write 35 books. It's possible. I mean, if you're a writer and, you can churn out. So how is that possible? 52 weeks, or let's say 50 if you'd like to have 2 weeks off. So it's going to be like our Take Action. How can you schedule? So that's roughly, you got to write, one every, let's just say you have to write 1 a week. And then you have to implement the marketing.
The editing and all of that.
Right. And the editing. So, is that attainable? So that bust that down into, I would say, quarterly goals, to say, okay, I have to have, 10 or wait, 8 my first quarter. How am I going to make that happen? That's 2 per month, whatever. And then all the action steps that have to happen along the way to make that happen, from the cover design, the editing, the get it listed on Amazon, all the things that happen. Is that possible? And you're going to know if it's possible or not. If it's not possible, this is where you adjust, and that number 4 comes in. So if you set the small goal, okay, I'm going to do the first one and see how long it takes, then you'll know, can you reach that goal? And we always get better as we go along. Just like when the TAT, I hate to keep using this as an example, but whoa, them first ones were hard to me. They were hard. I can show up, but they just were hard. Ask Jessica. They were hard for Julie. So they're a whole lot easier now.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to point out about this fourth step is that's also an initial step. Julie's talking about it in terms of an adjustment and pivoting, but you're obviously not reaching your goal right now. And in order to change something, you're going to have to make, in order to get a different result, you have to make a change on the front end. So that may be Riley, in Riley's situation, it might be rearranging your schedule.
Uh-oh.
And
We're losing.
huh?
We're losing. Your connection was poor there for a second. We'll give it a second to catch up.
Uh-oh. Sorry. It's the in-laws.
It's okay.
You're
okay now.
Yeah, so in Riley's situation, she may have to, or she will have to, adjust her schedule to turn out 30 books this year. So that's going to be a change that you're going to have to make based on the action steps that you wrote out. For us in TAT, the biggest change was how I structured my Mondays so that we could get a good training to you, and then how Julie and I both structured our Tuesday mornings so that we had that non-negotiable slot of time. So those are the changes that you need on the front end. And then we found, maybe some of the pivoting changes on down the line was having an action plan when we started running out of topics. So
agree. Very good. Thanks for clarifying.
My pleasure. All right. So yeah, these 4 things, hopefully you can see how easily you can take a goal that would take you 12 months and break it into smaller goals that will take you a month or even a few weeks, into daily and weekly action steps, into what you're going to do on an hourly basis when you're working.
And consistency is going to have to be key there. So you're going, and commitment, you're going to have to make the commitment to follow through.
All right. So knowing your end result. Again, this is a smaller goal than your pipe dream. This is not, we want to grow socially inclined into a 50-person organization, with 9-figure revenue each year and all of this kind of thing. No, 9-figure revenue each month, blah, blah, blah. That is not the end result. So the end result in our situation would be more like, we want to get our Grit Grinding Grace membership up to 1,000 women entrepreneurs by the end of the year, end of 2022, not in 3 days.
Right.
So that's the end result, and it's measurable, and you can almost already visualize what would have to happen month to month to make sure that you stayed on track with that. So when you're setting this end result, this larger goal, make sure that you can visualize the mini goals. Otherwise, it's just going to be very, very difficult, and you might need to back off it a little bit.
Exactly. And this can apply to other things, not just business goal oriented, but physical health. We're bringing Grit Grinding Grace to life, and that's going to be all the things like self-care and mindset. So those are big parts of your entrepreneurial journey. So you can use the same thing to apply to exercise, self-care, reading, whatever it is, things in your personal life that would work as well.
Yeah.
So, but working backwards, I've always worked backwards, didn't know it was a thing. You don't, until you start doing personal development things, you don't know what you don't know, but I've always worked backwards. So, and I think most people inherently do. So, but it's all the filling in of the steps and really, how do you get there?
Exactly. So in that middle paragraph there where it says, let's say that you take up running for an exercise or for the exercise, and your end result is that you want to lose weight. Maybe you don't want to run a marathon. I just put that here because I used to run marathons way back in the dino ages. But maybe it is to lose weight, and that's perfectly fine. But to lose weight is not measurable. So you would want to put some kind of timeline, like I want to take up running and lose 40 pounds by June 1st. That is measurable. And you would be able to calculate that you needed to lose 5 pounds a month, or, Yeah.
Whatever that math is.
Yeah. Should have made it easy on
Should have made
myself and did 60 pounds, but that's an awful
Or
lot.
30. Yeah, 30 pounds.
But you want it to be like that. Kind of where it's easy.
Exactly.
Measure.
Because it's like New Year's resolutions. You know, like you always set this huge attainable, and most people fall off within, I forgot what the statistic is, but it's like 7 to 10 days. It's somewhere in there. They've set a resolution to quit smoking, to, you know, get on the exercise bandwagon, to cut out sugar, whatever it is that they decide, they fall off. Why do they fall off? Because they're not breaking it down and doing the things that they need to do to stay on track to do it. So, but I love the analogy of running. So, because you know, what do you have to do? And you have to work. If it's going to be a marathon, you're not going to start out running a marathon. You're going to start out running a mile or a half a mile or walking, you know. So where are you now and where do you want to go?
Yeah. If you drink 10 Cokes a day and your goal is to have 0 added sugar intake, you're not going to start out on January 2nd drinking no Cokes. Or you might, but then you're going to fall off. So it's always better to kind of give it those steps. So maybe you want to have 0 Coke intake by March. So then you try to cut it down and make it more attainable. And those would be mini goals. Right. Okay. I think we got that. If you don't, we can come back to it.
Right.
Next. Bust it. Go ahead.
This is Jessica's favorite, though. I'm going to let you do it. Bust it into mini goals. Da-da-da-da. Jessica.
It's just so much easier. Like, so you're busting it down. You're breaking it down into mini goals. So, like I said, I drink 10 Cokes a day today, and I have been for ages. That's not true. You're not going to start out tomorrow being 100% Coke free or diet soda free, whatever it is that you're trying to kick.
I mean, I say some people could, but it's typically they would fall off the wagon. So
that is not the average human experience.
Right.
Let's take smoking, because honestly, if you smoke, you don't need to smoke. So let's say you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and your goal is to stop smoking. It's going to be very difficult. You will have a very hard time lasting more than a day or two just quitting cold turkey. So, you know, you might have to work on a strategy of, like the gum, and then also cutting down to where you're having less of it.
Take one away a day, you know.
Exactly.
And then over the course of a month.
So those would be more of your mini goals, where you would say, I need to get off the cigarette thing. I'm sorry. That could be another one.
Or Riley's, you can take her book. Like, how many pages does she have to write? How, you know, what has to happen, you know, for her to reach that 35 goal?
Exactly.
You know, break it down into a 90-day goal, then break it down to a 30-day goal.
I love this one. So the one that I put in here is more businessy. So your long-term goal, the end result is to have 100,000 subscribers on your email list by the end of 2022. I think that's a little high. So let's say 50,000 or even 20,000 if you're sitting there and you are just starting a business or you have no email list. Let's say you want to have 20,000 subscribers on your list by the end of 2022. An example of one of your mini goals, how you would get there, is you've got to start. So a short-term mini goal would be to set up an email autoresponder in the next 2 weeks so that it doesn't keep getting pushed down the line. It gets done. And that way you're ready to start pulling people into the funnel to sign up for your email list.
Right. So create the freebie, set up the autoresponder. Another mini goal could be to start using Facebook ads to draw attention to that funnel.
Or maybe you even need to just set up your Facebook profile by TAT so that you know how to set up your Instagram to a funnel, your Pinterest to a funnel, and all of those things. Maybe that's on your getting the knowledge is the first step in what your mini goal is. Maybe that is it. You have to learn how to do the thing before you can do it.
I agree.
Did we do all that?
I think we did.
We're going fast. It's okay. It's that week between Christmas and New Year.
We'll have questions or maybe examples, better examples at the end. So,
yeah.
All right. Next, we're going to map out your action steps. We kind of talked about this a little bit already, but we're going to get a little more deep into it. So, brainstorm ways that you can achieve those mini goals. Okay. So we've busted them up. All right. So these are the things like create the freebie, and these can be, there can be many of these steps, because whatever the big goal is, then the little goal or mini goal, you've got, how many ever steps. I mean, it could be 20, it could be 100 things that have to happen to be able to attain it, to move on to the next step. Okay. So business setting, just like what Jessica was talking about. So if you're starting from zero, if you just started your business and you're trying to show up and be everywhere. All right. Well, you can't just start out the first day being everywhere. Okay. So you got to do the things. So number 1, buy TAT replays. Number 2, watch the Facebook profile set it up. Number 3, set up, we got to have your lead magnet first. So get your lead magnet and your autoresponder. All right. So map out those things that have to happen in the order that they have to happen. And now this sounds sort of elementary, but it's not. It might sound that way, but when you go to do it and when the rubber meets the road and you've got to be doing them, having this list to hold yourself accountable, to stay on track, is so valuable to know. Okay, I'm not going to meet my goal if I don't do these things, because there's going to be days that you're going to wake up and you're not going to want to do them, no matter what it is. So
it's not elementary. It's fighting what the average entrepreneur does. So even Julie will do this. I saw her do this several times this past year, where I want to do this. And I'm like, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of work. No, it's not. You just this and this and this and this. So at that point, when her heart's really set on it, then I guess it's my goal to start mapping it out. And then I come back, I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to take. It's going to take this many hours and this many. And she's like, oh, so, right. So
there's always, time or money
next year.
Yep. So, and that's, and when you're determining what your goals are, when you bust them into these action steps, is it even attainable? For Riley, is it attainable to do that? She will know that once she breaks them down. Is it even possible to write a book in a week?
Right.
Is it? If it's not, then you can't write 35 in the year the way it is now. So,
yeah. And I want to,
there's marketing.
I want to back up and be clear. Like, that is not specific to Julie, because every time we have a new one-on-one client come in who wants a service or something, and they start filling out their questionnaire and they're talking, I read 2 of them this morning, and I'm just like, whew, because they're
all the things.
Yeah. Their expectation is to do something of a 20-person team that would take a 20-person team 6 months to do. Oh, I want it done. I need it done in 4 weeks, and I have no virtual assistant, and you girls are basically my only hope.
Right.
So managing, and that's just a normal, I'm coming to realize that
it's pretty normal.
A very normal entrepreneurial trait.
Can be high in the sky. And so this process will keep you from
back it down,
from not reaching your goals, because when you've got too lofty a goal or something that's not physically possible, a lot of times we set goals that are not physically possible. I'll want to turn around a toolkit in a day. Yep, I could probably do it by myself if I wasn't doing 30 other things. Jessica could do it, but when you're mixing it in with the other things that are being done and something else has to give, that's when, where you have to decide like what's going to work for you. So Riley, in her example again, 35 books. Well, what else is she doing that she didn't say here that she's got to do? I know she's going full-time writing this year, but what are her other obligations in that?
I I have a perfect example.
Go.
Okay, so I recently read an intake client, new client of ours, and her goal was to create, sounds very reasonable, 12,500 in revenue monthly consistently. That sounds reasonable. And the website was decent, but I went to the website and I tried to sign up for one of her opt-ins and it went nowhere. So that's an example of something that would need to be at the very top of mini goals or action steps. If your opt-ins aren't working, you're not going to create consistent revenue. You're not, because you're not capturing those leads. If I wasn't literally hired to assess that the online presence, I would not have stayed there longer than a second whenever I got the error notice that whenever I put my email address in.
Right. So if your goal was
things,
yeah. So if your goal is 50,000 on your email list, but your email list like sign up is broken, you're never going to reach that goal.
Right. So those little things all have to be mapped out in your action steps.
Correct. And they really can't be too small, I almost think. Because number one, a lot of entrepreneurs, find motivation and success. So the success of checking that box off, like there's a physiological thing that happens for some people to check a box, like literally. It's a brain thing. And so when you break it down and you go through this process to break it down, then you get, whatever it is for you, it is a checkbox for me. Like to know something got checked off the list is freaking amazing feeling to me. So every time Jessica turns around a TAT, I shiver with, and I even do it, like not that part of it. So anyway, so map out your action steps. That's what's going to drive you forward. That's what's going to make sure you stay on track. These are really where the magic happens, I would say. So like you cannot get there if you don't take action. That is the whole thing with these Take Action series, is that to get the win from doing the thing, so you'll want to do the next thing.
Exactly. And this is always going to be added to your action steps, because you're going to get there. Like maybe you need to create a squeeze page. Okay. But you've got to create some kind of graphic for it. And there's several steps involved to that. And you may find that you want to build it out so that you can stick to it a little better.
Exactly. So again, I'm pro, really listing out all the steps, like all the steps.
Me too. So in the productivity and planning, I think if you were there, which I know several of you were, I suggested breaking it down even to 5-minute tasks, all the way down into 5-minute tasks if it could be broken up to that level. Because then you have, sometimes I only have 10 minutes to work before I've got to go back downstairs and take care of something. So that's the way we talked about it extensively whenever I led the productivity and planning one.
Of course you did.
Was that you can't really break it down too far, because then where you can fit things in. So if I have a task that I know will take me 2 focused hours, I don't try to do that while Livy is up. I don't. Not going to happen. Instead, I'll just work in as many 5 to 15-minute tasks that I can.
Yeah. And I want to say that I am still struggle with, let's say it's building a website. So that's a big goal. Okay. That can be broken down into mini goals, that can be broken down into all the steps. All right. So if we look at it like that, so where I struggle is because I didn't map it down and break it down into something that I can do in 30 minutes or whatever, that I will not start it until like it is way past deadline, whatever. And it might not be doing a website, but it's something big. Like I will put off the bigger things because I can't get it all done in one sitting. So if I were to take it and break it down into many steps, then I can do this one thing. I can register the domain. Check. Yay. I can, set up the software for it. Check. All right. So I can get started on it. So most people don't get started because they can't see the end result. They can't see all the steps to make it happen. So, all right. So to make the necessary changes. So for me, you have to do some things differently, just you set the goal and to start meeting the goals, you're going to have to do some things differently to make it. Riley most certainly will have to do some things differently to attain a 35 book in a year goal. We're going to all cheer her on all year long. So I can't wait to see it happen.
And to do things differently, you have to make the changes. So Julie is going to start doing this planning before she takes on a website so that it doesn't overwhelm her the next time, because she hasn't been able to find huge chunks of time in her day to finish a massive task. But this to me, you've done all the planning. This is where the action happens. So you know the action steps. Now it's time to take the action. So whatever that
part. Our favorite part.
Yeah. So whatever the step is, what is the thing that you're going to have to change to make sure that thing gets done? Are you going to work it into a time block that you have? What is it that you're going to work into that time block? And being able to know how you're going to leverage your time to do that is really the key to this. If you are trying to cut out Cokes, then you buy less of them. You take them off of your Amazon subscribe and save, and you tell yourself you can only have Cokes if you go to the store, and you can only buy them one at a time. Like,
you can only buy bottles, and you'll drink a half a bottle at one time, or a quarter of a bottle, or whatever. Like, making the change is the hardest thing. So for most people, and getting started is hard for most people. So
exactly. So, yes, and I wrote a lot here.
I know what I'm skimming now.
So yeah, this is what Julie was talking about, is as you start making changes, you may see that something's not viable and things need to be adjusted. And that's where you can't be afraid to pivot.
Exactly. I mean, everyone has to, someone that's set out to run a marathon, okay, they may not be where they want to be in 3 months. All right. So you just they're going to have to adjust out, how soon it's going to happen or whatever, train more, whatever the thing is. So and expect that there will be bumps along the way too. There will, it's not going to just all be smooth sailing. Your time block might go away for the day, whatever. We all have things.
Yeah. You may have to have a contingency plan for when that time block gets eaten into, and then you have an hour in the evening that you work it in.
Correct.
So, all right. And then finally, take action on those 4 things we just talked about. So here's a little page where you can kind of brainstorm it all out.
Yep. So pick something lofty, something that it does need to be attainable. So pick something and stick to it. Like, I'm super proud that we picked Take Action for this year and that we did it every single week. That, like the win of that is amazing feeling. So, and look at all the goodness that has come from byproducts. So what can you do, or what do you need to do? Maybe it doesn't have to be anything new and whatever, but what can you do in your business that will move you forward? Or life. Again, it can be personal. It can be personal goals.
Yeah. So you can, if you have an end result and you want us to help you bust them into mini goals, we can try. We're obviously not experts in your niche, but we might can help you back into a few. We have a few minutes if you want to tell us what a one of your goals for 2022 is. We've already mentioned a few of ours. Or we can just let you do it on your own.
Savita had to run. I think Savita had a
She's doing a lunch and learn on planning to win in 2022.
awesome. And it says one of my mini goals is a money empowerment boot camp. Started working on my marketing and promoting. So, if you take that, what are the things that she has to accomplish? It's going to be, break it down into the goals that have to happen. It's going to be, to actually write the course, to deliver the course in some type of software, to find traffic, do the marketing, to find traffic to market to, then to deliver, I guess, over deliver, whatever it is. So those would be her mini goals, and then all the steps that happen.
Jate has a good one. So monetize her Facebook group. First of all, I don't think that's specific enough. So monetize by how much and by when.
Right.
Because that's going to be specific. You may just be wanting to create an extra $1,000 a month from your Facebook group, or that, depending on how large that number is going to depend on what you're doing. And Marcy, you're monetizing educational components. All of those, it's still too vague, I think.
Right. I would say, you've got to do the things to bring that to life, but also you got to have the win. So you're going to have to set some type of, buy when and how much, if it's monetizing, it's going to have to be a how much.
Exactly.
To stay on track.
And educational components, it might just be my ignorance, but I don't really understand what that means. So you're wanting
She's selling to teachers, like educational tools to teachers.
Yeah. So in that case, you would want it to be, I want to have X number of sales by date.
Right. And we do that, with your social plan, and when we bring out a new toolkit or we bring out Academy, so we want to have X amount of students, so what do we have to do that? Like, it's a numbers, a lot of times it's a numbers game.
Exactly. So Jate, going back to to monetize your Facebook group, I assume that that's going to be separate from selling your fitness, your large fitness program. So maybe it is that you start
group coaching.
Yeah, like a group coaching where you do something like TAT, but you cover a topic each week and you charge,
$15 or whatever it is.
$100 a month for Jate's awesome fitness coaching circle.
Oh, she's merged. It says the coaching now includes the products. Awesome.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you can monetize two different ways. Or several different ways. So you can focus to sell more of that hybrid coaching products program, but that's a higher price tag. So that might be harder to get to versus selling a $18 guidebook that you wrote, or, whatever it is. So
right. There's tons of ways.
You want to back into exactly how you want to monetize, because that's important.
So that's going to be one of your mini goals. The biggest mini goal is what will you bring to life to do that? And there might be multiple things. It might be that you do release an ebook every month, or you do a live workshop every month, and they're one-offs, or it could be a membership. There's lots of ways to monetize.
So Marcy wants to sell $500 a month in invitation educational tools for, I assume that's colleges, by May.
Colleagues.
Yeah.
Colleagues. So Marcy, are you a teacher?
So that is specific enough. And I could see how you could back into how many you would have to sell per month. I don't know what the price of each invitation educational tool is, but you'd want to see how many you'd have to sell to reach that goal, and then take your numbers and see how many people you'd have to reach and get in front of to sell.
Yeah. And get in front of can be a Facebook ad. It can be personally reaching out in the DMs. It can be like there's lots of ways to get there. So you need to map out how it's going to be.
Oh, I like what Cherie said, because there's a lot more than one end result in there. So what you're going to struggle with this is that's not one end result. So you want to take those and make each one of them an end result and break down each one of them individually. So you want to start earning $1,000 a month with your CBD business by date. And once you're there, then those mini goals are how you're going to do that. How much product do you have to sell? Okay. How many people do you have to reach based on how you can convert them? So that tells you how many people you have to get in front of each month. And then you can back into how many graphics or how many times you have to put out a promotional post. And then you would take that rank advance. That would be a separate thing. I'm very good at this because I did the same thing with Beachbody, because I broke that down. Like, how many coaches will I have to add to advance by a star diamond every 3 months? So you need 18 coaches for each star diamond. I don't know what yours is. So that means that I have to add 18 coaches every 3 months, and I have to keep those 18 coaches happy for those 3 months to get that star diamond. And then you back into the activities for that, which rank advancing once a month will be a lot less of a task than that. So, but that's how you do it.
And for us, so a big goal would be like to add more passive income, and that's not specific enough. Okay. So yeah. So what would we do to add more passive income? It'd be, okay, we'll start a membership, we'll do academy, whatever. So everyone can think of, this big goal they want to hit in their business.
Exactly. All right. It's 12 o'clock.
It is. And this has been fun. It's been real fun. And I can't wait to see y'all come to the group. Let us know what your big goal is, how you're going to get there. Again, there's no right and wrong as to how to get there. There's going to be lots of steps. And if you're in entrepreneurship, there's like 1,000 things you can do. So
for sure.
Yep. But so I
did ask a question in the group yesterday, what your goal for 2022 was, and I'm pretty sure nobody saw it. So if you're on here right now and you have a few seconds, go to the group and find that purple text post and answer.
Yeah, we're going to have to start doing a scavenger hunt kind of thing. The first person that answers this gets something to get our group back going again.
Well, yeah. Also, office hours are going to start being held exclusively in our Facebook group. So that's going to help significantly with, you'll have to watch it from there. We're doing away with the external links. So
yeah, just to drive more traffic and get more engagement. So
Kim,
just like you, we want to have more engagement in our group.
Kim, if that's true, then you don't have notifications turned on. Go to our group right now and turn on notifications. And if any of you are like that and you're like, I've never seen a post from Socially Inclined group, go to the group, get Socially Inclined, and make sure you set up get notifications so that you don't miss anything.
Right. So, and to go along with this, if you missed it, our Christmas 12 Days of Christmas promo, there was a free goal setting planner that you could have claimed. And we had a lot of people claim them, so go to our 12 Days of Christmas and grab it, because it will help you to, with some goal setting as well. So.
Yeah, Kim. So if it truly is the algorithm, then you just need to get in there and like and comment on some things. Go there by hand, find our group. I know that's a pain. And spend some time clicking around on it, say hello, and then you'll start seeing more of them.
Right. That's exactly how the algorithm works. If you want to see people's stuff, your friends, whatever, you have to like and comment on them to continue to see them. The algorithm is working correctly. So it gives you what you crave, or what you interact with. So Go interact with us, woman.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you
Thanks.
next year for content class.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.